Hello, welcome to Dean Park and the layout tour for early 2021. In this video I'm going to look at all aspects of my layout from the station side right the way around to the fourth end, which is yet undeveloped. I'll split the video into two parts. Part 1 will focus on the station side and the east end right the way around to the Signal and Telecommunications Centre, and the second video in part 2 will focus on the depot and the fourth end of the layout, as well as a look at my storage yard. If you like the video, please click the like icon. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any comments about what you see, please do get in touch. A good place to start is right back at the beginning. The mouth of the station was laid down in early 2013 and the ballast put down with initial track weathering. The track weathering has received an upgrade in 2020 to put more sleeper grime and oil leakings down. I'm using photographs from Edinburgh Waverley in the mid-80s to try and get a close as representation as I can. The signal box to the left is a replica of the one at Edinburgh Waverley station, which is now defunct, although it's still there. That is a wood substructure with card and scale scenes brick paper, and the windows were bespoke cut for me by York Model Making. The roof is made from MDF, chamfered at the edges, and has scale scenes papers glued to the surface. An area that's not often seen from the front of the layout is this small area here, a paved area with gardens, a guy relieving himself in the bushes, some bicycles, some bins. The flats themselves are scale scenes. I've added a slightly thicker edge to that there, so it sits at an angle, not just flat to the back scene, as the kit will give you, from a standard construction point of view. So I've added an extra couple of shall we say sections there to give it that angle, which complements the angle of the track as well in the upper main line. The upper main line itself, from around where your camera is here, right down to the housing development at the far end, is about 5.5 metres, so it allows an express train, HST, etc. really to stretch its legs. It is fitted with overhead masts. They are Dapol or Dapol. They were the ones available when I actually installed them. The overhead wires are not included. There are several reasons for that. It prohibits getting in to do some maintenance, track cleaning. It also costs a lot of money to do a layout this size, okay? And also the scale of the wires, to be true to scale, would be hardly noticeable on 00. So even the Pico wires, which are excellent, they might be a wee bit on the overscale side, but I've not ruled out putting them in place in the future. It's just not on my plan just now. You can see at the side of the rails here I've got some varying lengths of static grass. I've got signals. All my signals are from CR signals, and they're all connected to Heathcote electronic boards, so they all are connected, so when train goes past it goes from green to red, then to yellow to green again on a sequence, depending where the train is on the actual loop. Okay, all cable trunking on the layout, or most of it anyway, is from 10 Commandments. I'll put the link to the website in the description below. Excellent stuff, to scale for what I need, and I just painted it with some precision paints, concrete. Looking at the entrance to the station from this angle, I've got twin double portals there, the 158 sitting waiting to get into the platform. All the walls and portals are from the scale scenes range, although I did heavily kind of kit bash the retaining walls to suit my needs at the time. The stone that I've used is ashlar, okay, It's downloadable. The relay boxes there from Will's kit, the LNER, BR speed signs, they were in use well into the 80s. They're from 10 Commandments. I've got dummy point heaters there. They're white metal from Nightwing, but I now see that West Hill Wagon Works also do their own 3D printed version, so I'll leave the link to that in the description below, so you can maybe look at some point heaters for your turnouts. I've got dummy point motors there. They're from Pico range. All track on the layout is code 100. The reason I chose that is for robustness, especially up a loft layout where I've obviously got fluctuating temperatures from summer to winter season. In fact, just now it's -6 outside, so obviously I'm having to cope with quite cold temperatures up here in Scotland in the winter. One big visual difference you'll notice from this update compared to, say, my update 18 months ago is the inclusion of the Dean Park Garden section at the station. I really have gone to town on this with landscaping, closely mown areas, a variety of trees, and also well kept borders, just like Waverley Gardens in the 1980s, and indeed to this day it's still a very well kept area of Edinburgh. One of my main objectives when doing the garden scene was to get good gaps between the trees so I could see into the station and the tunnel entrances below. I think I've achieved this by using different species and heights of trees and also spacing them out at certain points so I can get the camera lens in between the trees themselves. I really am quite chuffed the way the garden sections all come together. I've managed to incorporate some new materials for obviously giving it that scenic appearance, along with some tried and tested trees, seafoam, and finally foliages. Let me know your thoughts on the Dean Park Garden section, whether it be the types of trees that I've used, the layout, or whatever. I'd really interested to hear what you think. Looking at the west end of the station, we've got the Class 87 and Mark IIIA sitting at platform 6. That's the longest platform at the station, and it was designed from the outset to take an 8-car HST. With the new 91 and Mark IV rolling stock coming from Hornby, I'll be able to fit 8 coaches within the actual platforms, but the DVT and the Class 91 loco will probably sit out the end of the platforms. There's a limit to the space I could afford when designing the area. Platforms 4 and 5 in the middle here, they are the bay platforms, and they are designed specifically for ScotRail Expresses to hold a 5-carriage train with loco. They're also used by DMUs and some loco haul services where the loco will come into the buffers, another loco will back up to the coaching stock, and away it goes, and then the loco could then be taken out of the platform back to the depot or whatever. Platforms 2 and 3, we've got the Visiting 117 here, and I've got a ScotRail Express just stopping at the station. They are through platforms. You'll see on the track here we've got a AWS ramp. They are from Pico. They are around about the layout near the signals. Okay, the platforms themselves are made from a Metcalf tarmac top with scale scenes, platform edging, and brick papers at the side, sitting on a wooden subframe, so nice and sturdy. All my downloadable card kits and papers have been pre-sealed with a spray varnish, a spray matte varnish, which I did before I then applied the paper itself to the card and then obviously made the kit. So that's how I managed to protect my card downloadable structures. I'm looking here at platform 1 where the Strathclyde 107 is sitting just now. That's a DMU platform basically. It'll take a 3-car DMU or a 3 coached local hold service. At the very end of the buffer stop we've got buffer lights, and they're from the Express models range, which you'll see in future clips. I really like the way that the garden ties in with the wall, obviously dropping down to the track level. It really is reminiscent of Waverley Gardens in the 1980s. This area here is one of my favourite on the layout. It was one of the first scenic areas I did actually, but back in 2020 I upgraded it by renewing all the vegetation and the grass to better blend in with this little substation area. I also did a lot of weathering around the ballast. I've added some newspapers, discarded tickets, discarded leaflets, posters, and they're all around about the buffer area and even in the bushes at the back. This is the buffer light that I was talking about earlier. They're from Express Models, and that's a twin lit one. You get the single ones which I've used at the depot. Really a lot of grime on the track here using the Hatton's oil spill kit. One of the areas in the layout which is probably its focal point is this station roof. It's 1.5 metres in length and it's made up from 6 scale scenes and large overall roof kits. The ticket office has been kit bashed to reduce the distance this actual tower comes out. The standard kit, the tower comes out to around about here, but I was limited with space, so I did a bit of kit bashing in my early days of the layout and reduced it in size, so the tower now eats into the roof. That's not part of the standard kit, so it took a bit of working out to do that. It's fully detailed and fully lit interiors, and as you can see the car park area runs right up to the side of the ticket office with the taxi ranks and the drop-off areas. Looking at the east end of the station, this also had a scenic upgrade last year. I ripped out the static grass and bushes on both sides of the station lines. It was the first area I'd ever done static grass previously, and it was a bit thin on the ground and a bit samey, one tone, one length. So I ripped it all out and redid the whole scenic area here. The link to that video is actually at the top of the screen now. This is a small scratch build here based on a real hut, a line-side hut at a station in Fife, and I've obviously continued the track weathering improvements here as well. More sleeper grime and more of the Hatton's oil spill kit on that kind of relief siding that the Class 45 is sitting at. My billboards, they're 10 Commandments kits. The actual British Airways Fly the Flag banner is something I made up myself. I went on the internet, got some images of adverts from the 1980s, early, in this case very early 1980s, and basically got them to size, printed them out on photo paper, matte varnish, and mounted them onto the actual board. I really like the effect they give. I really struggled what to put at this corner of the layout. I had a factory in mind, and a school, then a derelict ground, but I thought no, why not put an area that's being redeveloped, maybe a previous industrial area that's now getting houses put in it. As you see all over the place just now, it wasn't any different in the 1980s. So the buildings are the Bachmann Scenecraft, houses under construction, a bungalow and a two-storey house there. Most of the detailing kits are from Scale Model Scenery. I've got a dumper truck here. I think that's a Langley Models kit, and I've even got my own van here with transfers with Watson's Roofing. I say all these detailing kits are from Scale Model Scenery, and I'll put the link to that in the description below. He does really a vast range of construction kits, including this chain link fencing, which is not for the faint-hearted. By the end of it, I was almost qualifying as a surgeon, because I was getting so good at putting tiny little wires and threads through tiny little holes. I could have probably stitched somebody up on the operating table, to be honest with you. So I really enjoyed seeing the result, but the process of actually building it was challenging, shall we say. But hey, it really does look the part. The porter cabins are Nightwing kits. I've fully detailed the interiors, and lights as well have been fitted, so I've even got a foreman with a desk with plans, another foreman standing at the window having a coffee. It's been sympathetically weathered with kind of like earthy brown streaking, and the roof's been given a weathering as well. You'll see the Dean Park Estates sign there for the new development. Again, that was made by me, and I just obviously made the plasticard rectangles, sprayed them grey, fitted some brass legs to them, and fitted the Britannia Homes and the Dean Park Estate promotional poster. You can see the 10 Commandments cable trunking there, weaving its way along, covered by undergrowth and bushes at points as well. Something I always wanted on a layout was a disused siding, an overgrown siding, and I managed to incorporate it here next to the main lines. I really went to town on the static grassing and the undergrowth, the tufts of grass, the rust, and just trying to get a general sense of something that's not been used in some time. I've even got a little buddly eye. I've got a plate layers trolley there left in the siding, some rusty rails left on the top. I've got a wagon that sits in here some of the time as well. But I really like this scene. I've got a stepped retaining wall here as well. The area to the left of the shop with the grey area, that's kind of like a workstation just now, but that will eventually be an industrial area that overlooks the railway. Okay, but that's probably going to be one of the last areas that I scenic on the layout. All the retaining walls that you see are scratch built by me on a 2mm MDF surface with a MDF subframe at the back to keep it in shape or rigid, and then all the brickwork is Southeastern fine cast with plasticard pillars and edging, etc., all made by me. Looking at this area here, you've got your high-speed main line, which is electrified. That's for your 87s, your 90s, your HSTs, your 91 in time, and obviously your express local hauled services as well. The tracks going off to the right go under the Signal and Telecommunications centre, which I'll get to shortly, and you can also see the disused siding there as well. The undergrowth here is a mixture of different lengths of static grass, fine leaf foliage, coarse turfs, and as I upgraded the weathering on this track recently, I also let the airbrush waft onto the static grass to give it a kind of toned down dirty look as well, because obviously the grass gets affected by the grime that is thrown up by the trains as well. This section of the layout is directly under a twin fluorescent tube light, so it obviously appears a bit lighter than it actually is in reality. This angle here will let you see the substation. That's a Bachmann Scencraft substation, and I scratch built the concrete hard standing that it's on. You'll get a view of the back of the Signal and Telecommunications Centre with some of the junk that's lying there. This obviously is electrified. These headspans have been scratch built by me. Varying lengths of static grass, coarse turfs, fine leaf foliage and bushes, just to give an overgrown appearance. And this track is less weathered than the stuff in the lower level because it's been more recently laid, so the ballast hasn't dirtied as much. The 37 there is sitting in a passing loop. It can take a full length HST, but it's usually for long freight or secondary passenger services to get out of the way of an express. And it links back into the layout at both ends. This is the Dean Park Signal and Telecommunications Training Centre, something that's not often modelled on a layout, so I thought I'd try it in this little corner of the curve here. Most of it has been scratch built, apart from the main building at the left, which is a scale scenes kit. The building to the right has been scratch built using the same parts, if you like, as the main building. The tarmac has been done in the same way as I did the tarmac at the Caravan Park. You'll see fire hydrant, manhole and drain covers there. They're all brass and they're from Langley Models. Hydrant posts and gas posts there, they are from the Scale Model Scenery range. I've got scratch built signage. The fencing is Will's kit. The pavement I think is Southeastern fine cast paving, but the edges, the curbstones, are made by me and then glued onto the side of those. What I did was I laid all the tarmac, masking it all off obviously, and then fitted the paving round it. I actually had a template of the paving before I even did the tarmac, so I knew exactly where it was going to go. I'll put the link to a video, if I could find one, at the top of the screen as to when I was building this. Okay, I've used some different shades here to give the impression that the tarmac's been patched up. The lines are masked and then sponged on with white paint. The good thing about using the tarmac technique that I have been doing is you get a kind of textured finish, so that even when you put the white lines on it, it looks real, and you can do it to different degrees of white, so some might be worn away and that kind of stuff, or not applied so well. You might just see at the bottom of the screen here the little kind of gap here, untidy bit. That'll be actually finished off with a bit of ply or something when I've finished this area scenically, because at the right hand side you'll see a gap, and that is where the retaining walls are going to go. Okay, so at the moment this is relatively new, as took place in late summer, which was the Girder Bridge, which are Will's kits, and I'll put the link to the video of the build process there. The little test track there has got all the paraphernalia that you'd find at the side of a line side. So you've got the relay boxes, which one's been opened up, and there's actually detail inside. We've got little tiny fine cables going from the point motor under the track through the actual orange tubing to the cable trunking. We've got a working 2-aspect signal there. You've got speed signs going off to the left. The speed signs themselves are from Scale Model Scenery, but I scratch built the poles and the discs to go on them. And you might, I don't know if you're able to see, a line side drain cover there. Again, Scale Model Scenery. The floodlights, they are from Express Models. Just a quick look round to the back of the S&T centre. We've got the red chips giving way to basically muck, with old pallets, sleepers, cable drums, speed signs, and the wiring just left lying. There's a gate from the Signal and Telecommunications Centre into the fenced area of the substation. The Caravan Park was an area that I really struggled to fill, but I came up with an idea of using static caravans and managed to track down 3 of these static caravans from the Bachmann Scenecraft range. They're sitting on gravel bases, and it's closely mown, well kept grass round about the caravans, with slightly less kept grass the further out you go towards the fence. The fence itself is a Scale Model Series kit, as are the picnic tables. You might see tiny steps there at the doors of the caravans. They are scratch built with me using wire and plastic card. I really like the way that the trees have fitted in with the scene here. It's given the impression that the caravans are part of a larger caravan park. There's a road that goes off to the right hand side there, just tucked behind the tree. So I've tried to conceal the exit of the road from certain angles of the layout. All the trees that I use on the layout are from the Model Tree Shop or scratch built trees by me using Seafoam and Gauge Master leaf foliage. There's some Primo trees in the layout as well, but they are not focused around this area. Just a quick look down on top of the Caravan Park. You'll see the details that I've used. The road has got little potholes in it. That's done by making the road from plaster, using the Woodland Scenics road kit. And I've then taken Woodland Scenics tarmac or asphalt and concrete paints, mixed them together, dabbed them on to give it a road tarmac finish. I'll put a link to the video I did that in at the top of the screen. You'll also see small details. There's a discarded bike in the bushes there. You've got bins, gas bottles, and you've even got a standpipe in there as well, near where the cars are parked. So I've tried to get a lot of detail in there to a small area. You'll see where the grass starts to get less kept as it goes away to the railway line. Well, that's it for part 1 of the layout tour for 2021. You might want to join me later in part 2, where I'll be going through the depot developments and also the fourth end of the layout, which has not yet been scenically developed, but I'll be outlining some of the plans for that as well. So hope you can join me then. In the meantime, cheers for now.